The idea of flowers is pretty much derived from giving people their flowers before they're gone, which is a theme that a lot of people in hip hop and rap have been getting into a lot recently. Bar for bar album reviews, Passwurdz, Flowers. Flowers is the debut album from battle rap veteran and Oakland native Passwurdz, and honestly feels like it's been a long time coming. Passwurdz started mentioning this project sometime last year, and really ever since Grand Nationxl started getting any attention, he's been killing every feature that he's done. So it's been a long time coming and definitely worth the wait. The idea of flowers is pretty much derived from giving people their flowers before they're gone, which is a theme that a lot of people in hip hop and rap have been getting into a lot recently, because between people dying prematurely or people just feeling like they're not being appreciated, there's just a whole lot of negativity around, and we want to give people their flowers to celebrate them or make them feel like they're appreciated. The flowers on this project are the flowers that Passwurdz is wanting from others around him, but also just he wants to give himself flowers. Like, there's so many things that we go through in life and so many things that we just have to kind of deal with, that not everyone knows about. It's all just kind of behind the scenes stuff. So, you're always stuck with yourself. You know yourself best. And also, with that, we're also our biggest critic. So it's always important to take a moment and give yourself flowers for all the things that you've overcome and accomplished. And that's something that we see throughout this project. Starting off with Ian's intro, which is just a great spoken word intro from Kells and really sets the tone for the project. And that's another thing to bring up with this project. The tone going into a project from a battle rapper may be concerning, to say the least, because, when you see people at battle raps, they're very different than in real life, you could say. So their delivery and their subject matter is obviously going to be a bit more focused in on whatever they're doing at that moment. So that doesn't always translate well into an album. And I have the same, concern at times when you look at just people who are pure lyricists. Like, sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know how you're going to do a whole album. I don't know how you're going to hold my attention as well as everyone else's. Because realistically, not everyone's into the whole lyrical miracle rap, at all times. So being able to combine that style and sound with something that's extremely palatable, production wise, it's beautiful. And just, even beyond that, it's just song structure is just so well done. So just right off the bat, a great project. But going through the rest of the project, we have Flowers, which is the title track, but also really just says, give me my flowers. There's all these things that we do that, we just kind of, we're like, yo, what the hell? Give me my flowers, bro. That brings us to the next track, Sign, featuring Ian Kelly and Jane Hancock, where really what we're getting is Passwurdz is doing all these things, and he's asking, yo, give me a sign. Whether that sign's for, let me figure out, know that I'm doing something right, or that what I'm doing is actually going to be beneficial for me in the future, which realistically is something that a lot of people probably deal with. You're going through all this stuff and you keep telling yourself it's going to be worth it in the end, but there's always those moments of doubt where you're like, I need something to really confirm that I'm doing this for a reason. I need something to be like, oh yes, you're doing good, and give you that extra push. Throughout the rest of the project, we get different looks into, whatever Passwurdz is thinking about at that time. Because although everything can relate back to flowers, and giving and getting your flowers, there are other things that come up kind of adjacent to it. So with Mama Proud, he's, talking about these things like, I want to make my mama proud at the end of the day. And that's something that I feel a lot of people can relate to. And even beyond just making them proud, you want to be able to provide and help them out as they get older. Because, for the most part, again, parents, they're very, they want the best for you. And like they're there for you. They helped raise you, essentially. So we feel some sort of commitment to be like, oh no, I need to help you out when you get older because, that just feels right. But even aside from that, the whole making your parents proud thing can be thought of as like, oh, like I have to do this. But, and in doing so, you may forget why you're doing whatever you're doing in the first place and anything else that you may have overcome and accomplished on that path. So you may be like, oh, wait, no, I need to take a second and realize, like, no, I'm good. I'm doing good. We continue to get into, I guess, more personal things with Passwurdz with the track No Hard Feelings, which is something that I feel a lot of people can relate to because this song may sound like it's for, like, about a relationship, like, and how he may ghost people and just kind of disappear, but it's not necessarily just a romantic relationship. Like, this is something that you could apply to anything. Like, there's so many times, like, where personally I just don't respond to people. I just ignore them, and like they're just friends. They're people that I talk to on the regular. So it's like, at the end of the day, no hard feelings. I'm just doing my thing. It's still all good. And that brings us to Alive, which is probably one of my favorite songs on the album, almost entirely because of the way it ends. So through the chorus, we hear what you want to be when you grow up. And, that's something that I assume all of us have been asked at one point or another. And, given, like, depending on where you're from and what sort of upbringing you may have had expectations put on you of, like, oh, you got to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something that makes money, essentially, or like something that's guaranteed. But what really got me with this song is at the end where he was talking to his kids and asked them what they wanted to be. His daughter wanted to be a nurse, and then his son wanted to be a rapper and an actor. And Pass's response to that, like, where he's like, yeah, you can totally do all those things. Like, it's very heartwarming because, that's, if it feels out of the ordinary for me. Like, it's a foreign concept. Like, oh, you have people who are like, yeah, no, you can do these things, and like just be super supportive of you for just doing things that you want to do, essentially. Like, it's great. And honestly, I mean, I mentioned this when the album came out, and like, this is something that I'm going to incorporate into my life. And I mean, I already knew I was going to do that. Like, if or whenever I do have kids, like, I'm gonna take whatever they actually want to do and help them pursue it if possible. Like, as long as they're good, I'm happy. At the end of the day, that's what matters, right? Anyways, this then goes into Overthinking, which I really just love because the way the chorus goes in with Zarmila is just great. Like, it's a very smooth track. And then the album begins to wrap up with Nationxl and the Trees. Nationxl is basically a crew cut with the big boys at Grand Nationxl. We got Kev, Monty, and Deuce on there. And then, the album ends out with The Trees, which is a pretty long track, honestly, but I had never really paid attention to it. Like, looking at the track list now, I see it's almost 7 minutes long, and it never felt like that to me. But it's definitely a closing track, given how it feels and, just kind of wraps things up, essentially. But yeah, overall, this album is excellent. If you have Tidal, you know how they say how many streams you've given a particular artist. For the month of April, I've given Passwurdz about 260 streams. So what is that? About 26 full listens of the album. Yeah, I really liked it. Honestly, there's so many ways that I could have gone into this review, but I wanted to keep it as open as possible. I could definitely get into specifics if y'all want, but really the gist of the album to me is give Passwurdz his flowers. He's well deserving, but even beyond giving him his flowers, you have to take a look at everything that you've gone through in life and all the things that you've overcome and accomplished, and give yourself flowers, because at the end of the day, you're the best person to do so. Like, everyone wants others' approval, but a lot of times it's our own approval that we really seek, and it's honestly really difficult to accept at times, and to be like, oh no, I am good. I know what I'm doing. Like, so I think that's the biggest takeaway from this album. Like, we have to realize, like, we're doing a whole lot of shit, and we need to take a step back sometimes. My favorite tracks on this album are all of it. But I think the ones I return to the most frequently, Meditation. Honestly, from Meditation all the way through the end, like, that's perfect. Nothing is the only one that kind of threw me off, but even that's a really good track. But if you had to listen to one track off this album, I'd say Alive, by far, because it's, to me, a very impactful track and very important to have on this album, I feel. But that's where I'll end it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this album if you've listened to it. If you haven't, it's definitely worth a listen. It is a little bit, well, no, I was going to say it's a little bit longer, but no, it's right around the right time. It's about 40 minutes. So it's a digestible project for sure. But no, I'm sure you're going to love it. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Like and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. And thank you for watching. And please stay safe out there.